So happy to take up the floor. And I mean, we've had a lot of talking. We've had a lot of ideas, concepts, theories, technologies. But let's make it also practical, and let's dive into a couple of examples. So what I will be doing in the coming 15, 20 minutes or so, I will make it a bit practical, give some real-life examples of things we've been doing. But also at the end of the presentation or later on in this session, don't believe just our or my word for it. Our customers will present themselves, like Solvay, like the Staffing Group. They will present what we'll be doing with them. So basically, if you heard the story from both Florian, but also what Jan already was preluding upon, and we really have a fundamental belief that companies can increase their growth, so they can outperform their competition, and by modernizing their enterprise IT. So modernizing enterprise IT itself and the technology itself could be cool, but that's not a goal in itself. It's just a mean, and the mean is to really increase your growth and outperform your competition. So what we've been seeing in this world, that a lot of new technologies pop up, a lot of new innovation pop up. We as Vanenburg, we would like to be the guide of companies, of enterprises, guide them really in this kind of forest or in this area of possibilities, and lead them on a path towards Industry 4.0, where we adopt those new and innovative and cool technologies. However, we don't stop there. We really adopt them for the sake of applying and getting business value out of it. And that's basically what we do with a lot of companies I'll be highlighting upon later on, because many of the companies we are talking to, they think about new business models. They just don't talk alone about selling a product or about manufacturing a good. They talk about taking care of the entire life cycle of that machine, or they talk about being responsible for predictive maintenance. Even about new revenue models they are thinking about. Instead of just selling a service, they think of collecting the data from that service, and a whole new business model arrives, what they can do with that data. So in other words, we as Vanenburg Software, we would like to embrace these new technology waves, but we would like to deploy them at the customer base for the sake of increasing the growth and the productivity of our companies, of our customers. And a lot of our companies, a lot of our customers, they have the same ambition. And that's basically the first chapter which you see here on the left. And the business is really driving, the business is pushing. The business would like to go for this predictive maintenance. They would like to become a digital native, or they would like to embrace all these kind of nice, heroic terms which are coined by the industry analysts like Gartner, Forrester, etc. They would like to take all this into their enterprise. So they are kind of pushing their organization, they are pushing their IT for moving forward. However, as you can see on the second block here in the middle, a lot of these organizations are hampered and are hindered because they still work with paper, and they still work with yellow notes, and they still work with a lot of spreadsheets. So the operational issues are really about digitizing that and moving to a cloud, or upgrading their ERP, replacing and getting rid of legacy, or solving integration issues, solving scalability issues. So the day-to-day practice of a lot of these modern enterprises, while yes, they do have the vision which is pictured here on the left, and they would like to go to this Industry 4.0. However, the organizational problems are on the day-to-day business a lot, and I think that's also what we have seen in the poll at the beginning of this webinar. There are a lot around the topics mentioned here in the middle. And then the third kind of new waves of technologies which are arriving at this shore is new possibilities are entering and are stooding up around API management, around big data, and all these fancy new technologies. But the key problem in many of our customers, they are stuck in several of these boxes. But how to combine these together in terms of marrying them, and at the same time taking small baby steps, like Florian was already mentioning, not just as a huge wave, but also taking small baby steps in moving towards this new adoption of technologies and modernizing. And I think one of the biggest examples we now see, there's a lot of turbulence out there in the market, and that's always been there, especially this year with COVID. Turbulence, well, probably has not been much bigger than it's right now. The biggest problem is not the turbulence itself, because even after COVID, there will be another wave of another different change, and turbulence will remain there. The key question is, how can you adopt this turbulence, and how can you act not with yesterday's logic, but the logic of today and tomorrow, in combining these into new assets and into new strategies. That's basically our goal as Vanenburg Software. So we have a strategy where we, on the one hand, respect what's already there, starting off with a green field, starting off with a blank sheet of paper. I'm hardly seeing any companies who are able to do so. So the reality is the companies are already there. So we need to respect what is there. That's one. Then if we need to decouple it from the old world to the new world, we can then innovate on top of that. And that's, I think, what we've been highlighting in this one. The path for modernization is summarized in 5 keywords in our view. On the one hand, ERP, it always will be there, and it's serving a very important, crucial function within the organization. So it is there. The key question is keep it for what it's meant for, and that is keep it for your core monolithic and transactional system, but restrain it only for that purpose, and don't customize and build on top of that. So restrain what is there, and often that is a core monolithic or legacy ERP system. So restrain and limit it as much as possible. Then in the next step is open it up. So basically integrate and make it ready for reuse in a new world with new innovations. In the third step, you can extend it with a lot of microservices and combine, filling in the missing gaps of this core. And then at the fourth step, embrace this innovation by applying all these modern technologies like big data, artificial intelligence, machine learning, a lot of sensors with Internet of Things. They are kind of sending in data. So embrace this innovation. And then if and when you are ready, you could think of maybe replace a core or an old-fashioned one with a new one, or keeping it as vanilla as possible. So in other words, these 5 steps are meant to, on the one hand, respect what's there, decouple it, and then innovate on top of that in the next wave. And I think that's also what we've been doing with a lot of our companies. So our services are really centered around ERP extensions and integrations. So building on top of that and harmonizing those different silos within the organization. So extending and integrating to make sure that you're covering a single view of data and you have a single view of your process. In the next step and the next offering is what we are offering and building are around custom ERP solutions. So companies who cannot be served by just a standard ERP because simply their business is different. And I will give a couple of examples later on. So we build and tailor it, not build it from scratch. Yes, we are like in manufacturing. We are making use of these generic components and combine it in a unique composition. And that unique composition is what we call a custom ERP. And the third wave is, or the third step is with enterprise apps. We build new innovations on top of existing ERP solutions. So we are very much as Vanenburg Software focused on a couple of industries. On the one hand, everything around manufacturing, distribution, logistics. Nowadays, healthcare is popping up a lot, and they're innovating a lot. Because simply hospitals, they don't only take care about the healthcare processes within the 4 walls of that building and their hospital. No, they need to take care of the entire healthcare processes within their city or within their province. And the doctors, they not just enter the hospital and do their work. No, they go outside and they take care of the entire process. Not just within their door, but also in the entire city and province. So that is causing a lot of challenges and a lot of logistical solutions which are needed, and that's basically what we are aiming at. So we are good at technology, and our core services are centered around development, support and maintenance, but also cloud operations of our solutions. So we build it, we design it, we support it, and we also make sure it's running stable and scalable. Wherever and all over the globe, 24/7. That's basically what we are offering. We are very proud that we have a really dedicated and committed team. And we have more than 100 engineers or 100 employees at our company. However, we have also productized their knowledge and their best practices into products. So the products are allowing us to speed up the delivery. They allow us to do the full development at low cost, which you will hear later on from Hans as well as from the staffing group Wessel, how we are using those products. And our solutions are already off-the-shelf solutions which can be deployed and reused from earlier examples. And we are very happy, last but not least, that we don't invent the wheel ourselves. and we don't think of building our technology stack from scratch. No, we partner with industry best practices and leading firms like Salesforce and like Google, where we embrace and use their technology platforms. So back to the earlier guide notion, which I highlighted already. We want to be the guide for Industry 4.0. So on the one hand, we take the technology platforms and we apply that in the context of the enterprise. Well, if we start taking a look at our customer and services wall of fame, this is here how we are summarizing it. ERP extensions and integrations to make sure that there's a digital foundation, a digital layer, to ensure that you have operational efficiency throughout the organization. Built on top of the fundament that's already there. It could be legacy, it could be other component that's already there. So build on top of that to harmonize and make sure that's an operational efficient foundation. And companies like, for instance, Sanquin, the blood bank, which is there in the Netherlands, yes, they are relying upon a digital foundation. Nowadays, they still work with some paper process. They lack sometimes integration. So that's where we are with our skills, with our best practices coming in. And instead of the paper process, we kind of digitize it and ensure that it's a real digital process from start to end. The second step, customer ERP. This is really meant for companies who would like to differentiate. So they have a digital strategy. They would like to be a digital hero, and they would like to differentiate also from others in their peer group. They don't want to just adopt a generic framework, a generic ERP. They need to be different. And we see that at companies like Verhoek, for instance, Verhoek Europe, a great logistics provider in the Netherlands, together with the ThinkWise platform, which is a low-code platform. We embrace it. We build their tailor-made transportation management system. Not because there's not a single transportation management is in the market. No, because their way of working, their unique process is not supported by this generic system. So that's where it's making sense to combine the best practice of ERP with their unique way of working, their unique process, and marry the two together to build their custom ERP. Last but not least, the third category about enterprise apps, that's where you would like to innovate. On top of everything which you have already, embrace this new technology. And you will see the stories from Solvay and the staff group later on, and I will be explaining a short example of what we've been doing at Valeo also in the next slide. Well, to dive a bit deeper in this ERP extension integrations service offering, what if you need to combine legacy, but at the same time you would like to have real-time insight into your process, into your shop floor, into your status of your work orders? So that normally doesn't go well together. So what we've been doing is taking a couple of steps within Bax. Bax is a nice metal sheet company in the southern part of the Netherlands. We've basically opened up their closed legacy ERP. So there were a couple of actions and I would say tasks needed to make it future ready. But by opening it up and by kind of unraveling this spaghetti landscape, we were able to also add missing functionalities and missing functions, and also especially around human workflows to the landscape. So we respected what was there. At the same time, we decoupled it, then added and filled in the missing pieces. And then by having that foundation in place, we are now able to release new portals, build new mobile apps, have a single view of all your processes in a dashboard, making sure that all the operators which are there at the shop floor are able to have a single view of the status of their work orders. And I think this is a great example of a company who realized that they need to invest in the future. And by taking this approach, they were able to leapfrog, respect what's there, but at the same time, take a couple of steps to ensure that they're up to date again. So that's the first example on Bax about the ERP extension integrations. The second example I would like to give on customer ERP. So what if there's no standard system to support your e-strategy, your digital strategy? And this is a particular case what we have seen and experienced at Qualitree, a great company in Canada. So they are kind of a plant grower. So they start from a very small one and then sell the plants all over the Americas. Again, they have a unique way of working. And they do know IT quite well because they've been in this world for many years. So what we've been doing is taking a look at their unique plant propagation process, at the same time taking the best practice of ERP into account, we were able to bring the two together. And in the past, they invested for good reasons in homegrown applications, simply because they did not find support by one of the generic ERPs, so they invested themselves in homegrown. At the same time, that also, after many years, caused some business continuity issues. So what we've been doing is taking this unique plant propagation process, combined with the power of the Salesforce platform in this case, and build their custom Salesforce-based ERP, which is serving their exact needs. And that is now giving a future-proof platform for improving their customer service, but also increasing their unique selling points and increasing their competitive advantage over many others in the industry. Now we are able to do the entire forecasting from sales opportunities to MRP, so mass production scheduling, mass inventory management, whatever, to the entire work orders of all the engineers. So the entire ERP process from start to end, we are able to build that on top of the Salesforce platform. Not because Salesforce out of the box did provide. No, Salesforce out of the box provided a lot of powerful tools, and we are, as a partner, adopted the ERP best practices and then built the entire solution for them. A third example, Valeo, about the enterprise apps. Valeo, they have just a small number of employees, around 150,000 of employees, active in 33 countries with more than 20 billion of revenue. So what we've been doing over the almost 10 years now, we work with Valeo. We developed more than 50 business applications, business critical applications, and everything is centered around the workflow to increase the productivity of these knowledge workers. So all these 150 knowledge workers, they need the tools to have the information at their fingertips. So they don't want to go and search into all the different SAP systems, and they have more than 200 these days. So they don't want to go into all these different systems. They don't want to switch back and forth, but they want to have all this information to produce the task they are asked to do in a very productive manner. And what we've been doing, we've been building applications around quality, around HR, around their R&D and services departments for project management. We have been taking the Google App Engine as a cloud-native foundation, and then also adopted new and innovative technologies like big data, machine learning, so that we can put these tasks for the knowledge worker really at their fingertips and have a shorter and enhanced decision making. By having this cloud foundation from Google, we were able to just scale instantly from 500 to sometimes 60,000 users. So 60,000 users within one application are there, while at the same time keeping an eye of the lowest total cost of ownership. And we have our productive way of developing it. We have our ready-to-use components, and by marrying them together, we are able to serve Valeo at a very low cost of ownership without any license costs. It's built upon open technology. In the end, these are Java-based applications, but at the same time, we combine it with our best practices around rapid development, which Hans will be later on in this event talk more about. So who are we? And to summarize, to cap it a bit, we are enterprise software experts, which we do already for quite some time. At the same time, we have developed our own tooling and products, allowing for a rapid and a productive way of developing these applications to ensure the lowest total cost of ownership. We are really tech experts and cloud experts from Google to be focused on app development, on infrastructure, artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT, and big data. So combine all these new innovative waves and apply that in the context of a business solutions. By doing that, we are committed in especially building the processes, the process applications which are needed for the unique way of working of our customers. So we have a good understanding of the way of working of our customers and being able to translate that by making sure that we are flexible. And I think Lilian also later on in this presentation from Solvay will highlight more of these points, how we've been applying that at Solvay. So I would like to conclude with an invitation for a challenge, basically by all of you. Let's start your journey here. And we would like to modernize your IT, either in the area of ERP extensions and integrations, when it comes to custom ERP, and not just because we'd like to build everything for you which is already there. And no, only build if that's a unique need and if it's a unique way of working for your organization. if that's standard and commercial off the shelf available, take the buy one. But if it's a build, we would like to be in that paradigm for you, and also delivering your enterprise apps. And the 3-step approach we have around here is, and we typically run a workshop to prioritize your needs and see what can be done in order to get this quick return on investment. But typically is a workshop of a couple of hours, say 3 hours. The next step is then in a couple of days, we are able to translate those requirements and also do an instant visualization and instant prototyping to ensure that we kind of show you what we've been thinking of. Typically it takes 3 days. And then in the last step, we are able to launch this software product for you just in a couple of weeks, so that you have from a 3-hour workshop, a 3 days requirements analysis phase, and a 3 weeks development of a minimal viable product. You are kind of in 1 month have a short cycle of how we can iterate these small and innovative new applications. So with that, Vincent, I hand it over again to you. Thanks, and if there's any question, please do share and let me know.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, we had a couple of questions halfway the tour and saying, "Hey, please give us a case study." You did a great job giving that. Thank you very much. At the end, the best came.
One more comment on that. I think you will hear 2 great case studies later on, not just by me, but somebody else. The customer will tell it. So please stay tuned with the mark.
And you can see how enthusiastic they are. That's in the second part after Google. We're going to give you some really detailed one. But could you give us some insight in, you have enhancing your ERP, you have these 3 examples. What kind of costs are involved with that? How do these projects, how long do these projects take, and what kind of costs are involved in that?
Well, thinking of the answer from Florian, it all depends. That's a typical consultancy answer, so I will not mention that. But I think what we've been seeing is, in many cases, there's the groundwork which needs to be done. So in other words, there are a couple of these what we call hygiene factors which are needed, where you need to ensure that your ERP is able to expose a service so that you can consume it. You need to ensure and think about your requirements. So those are kind of factors which are needed in any case. Typically, our way of working is that we do small iterations of, say, 2 or 3 or 4 week sprints where we develop those enhancements. And by using our rapid development tooling, we are able to instant prototype and also visualize and then present back to the business user. Is that what you're referring? Is that what you mean? Is that what your goal is? So in other words, we break up these long waterfall projects which we don't believe in anymore. So really go into more an agile mode of productizing and developing and then iterating with the business. So normally in say 2, 3, 4 weeks sprints, and then if you take an example of quality, yes, it's a huge project where maybe if you think about all the 60 master data tables and all the objects and all the more than somewhere between 15 and 20 ERP modules, that could take, say, a year or so for delivering that full solution. But that we iterate on a monthly basis.
But what I've seen from you is that you can start with very simple projects, and that you in a couple of 1 month or in 2 months, you can really deliver an enormous amount of value. And I mean, to have connections to 200 ERP systems. I mean, just the internal nightmare of a security officer, which has to manage the access to 200 ERP systems, and that you can actually do that and pull it off. And
if you will hear later on from Wessel, I think that's where an example of the staffing group, we've been building a solution in just 1 or 2 months, and then really 1 or 2 months from start to go live. And I think that's a great example.
Okay, well, I think we want to end up at 6 o'clock, so I have to basically, just leave it at that, because there's many more questions. But people were very excited. People were very excited to see first your approach, and then secondly, these examples are really nice. The examples which come after the break and after the Google presentation are really very much in detail and also blew me away. So thank you very much, Ardjan, for this introduction.